You're also a former chief economist at the Cabinet Office. I'm really interested to get your views on some of the comments that Sajid Javid made as he endorsed Liz Truss yesterday evening. He came out and said that we were in danger of sleepwalking into a high-tax, low-growth economy. And he also said that Liz Truss was the candidate to challenge the status quo. Do you agree with those points?
I certainly agree that we have a risk of having low growth. We've had, as both candidates have ironically pointed out, we've had 10 years of low growth. And it's quite funny for me, who served in the government as a civil servant in the 1980s for the 2010s, to hear two people who've been in government for a very long time describing the last 10 years as a complete failure from the growth point of view. And of course, they're right. The last 10 years of austerity and its aftermath have indeed given us low growth. But I don't see much evidence that either of them has any particular ideas to boost growth. This focus on tax cuts as the way of boosting growth over the medium to long term really has relatively little economic support. At the same time, we see both candidates planning further quite significant cuts in school spending, which, of course, education is one of the things we actually need to boost growth over the medium to long term. And it would be nice to hear them talking about what their plans are for actually boosting the UK education system. That's going to make a lot more difference over to growth in the longer term.
Yeah, but the reality is, I guess, it depends who they're appealing to, doesn't it? And obviously growth is a good message to get out there. But the reality is people want tax cuts because they just don't have enough money.
Well, that's right. But a lot of the tax cuts that we're hearing them talk about will basically go to people like me, for example, who don't actually, of course, I'd like a tax cut. Who wouldn't? I would like more money. But the real threat, as the forecast from the National Institute of Economic and Social Research showed yesterday, is of very large numbers of people falling into destitution, of literally not being able to pay their bills. And tax cuts that are concentrated on the better off, which is what both candidates are proposing, are going to do little or nothing to help that. If they wanted to actually help people who are going to be really struggling with their bills, they would be talking about further direct support for people who can't pay their bills, and increase the universal credit, which of course the government reversed recently. The government has made very large cuts to universal credit and other benefits over the past few years. If you actually really wanted to help the people who needed it, that's what they would be talking about, not about tax cuts. So it's quite unfortunate that we're actually talking about tax cuts that will go mostly to people at the upper end of the income distribution, rather than to the people who really need it.